Welcome back to DXB Today, where tonight we are talking about wellness in the new year. And we've covered nutrition, we have covered fitness, but now the most important thing to some people is your mental health. How is your brain working? And we are very happy to tell you that our next guest has a saying in life. Life is short, so why waste time being unhappy? Please welcome the Director of Happiness Matters, Dr. Louise Lambert is back with us. Louise, so good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk about that quote of yours,
Yes.
life is short, why spend time being unhappy? I want to start with, what is happiness?
Yeah.
Because I'm not really sure what it is when people say they're happy. It usually goes back to money for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a lot of money, they must be happy. Is that true?
No. Well, yes, actually, no, I take it back. So money helps, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when we think about what is happiness, it's really thinking about two things. So one is, are you satisfied with the life that you have? So this could include how much money you make, work, relationships, married, whether you're divorced, whatever. And it's, did you get what you wanted, more or less so far? And then there's another way to think about happiness, and this is really our positive emotional experiences. So the emotional quality of our days on a minute-to-minute basis. So somebody can be very satisfied in life, but yet on a daily basis be kind of miserable, and vice versa as well. So depending on where you look, you could rate yourself happier, less happy, but it's good to know the definition so you know what you're dealing with.
I'm glad you brought up relationships in there, because a friend of mine is going through a little bit of a tough time, and what he's decided to do is to shut out the world and just focus on himself. But I think for you, you believe that relationships, they play a big part in your happiness, isn't it?
They do. They play a huge part, and I think we underestimate just how much, because we're told happiness is an inside job, and to a degree, yes, but it's not the full picture. And relationships are important because they're actually a shortcut to happiness. So if we think about what do relationships actually do for us, there's a lot of things. One is they help us think better. So we get feedback from people. They look at us and go, what? No, that's wrong. Don't think that way. So they can correct some of our perceptions. Relationships also help us manage our emotions. So when you see somebody worried about something, you think, oh gosh, actually, I hadn't thought of that. You're right, I didn't think of this concern. Or no one's concerned except for you. So you kind of learn where to place your emotions. We also learn to gauge our performance. You might think you're doing really great, but the minute you're around people, you're like, oh, I need to work a little harder there, right? So we need other people to tell us who we are, how to think, how to feel, how to move on in life, and how to become better versions of ourselves. And relationships help us do that really quickly. Whereas we can do it alone, but that's a lot of effort, and we still might not get it 100% right.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens when you're in a toxic relationship? This entire thing flips, right?
So this is different,
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is good relationships,
Yeah.
obviously,
Healthy,
that bring
stable.
out the best in you. Okay?
Yeah.
But also, there's something to be said for what we call weak ties. People we don't really know at all. And we often ignore these people because we're like, I don't know you. Or if you think about in a public space, we are really good at ignoring one another, right? We're trying to be polite. We look through people, around people, but we don't lock eyes. We don't make connections. And that's important to do, because the less we do that, actually loneliness is a big undermining factor in happiness, and loneliness is actually increasing in society today.
Do you see a specific case in Dubai? Yeah, because so many people, they leave their families, they leave their communities that they grew up with, and they come here to work. Have you noticed a bigger issue when it comes to the city?
So yes, on the flip side, sometimes it's easier to make friends because we're all in the same boat. And I think Dubai is one of the few cities where you can go up to somebody and be like, hi, you want to be my friend? Done. It's pretty easy, right? That expectation is there that you need a network, and people are very open to that. Whereas in other countries, it might be the opposite. It's, I've lived in this neighborhood for years, I've had my own friends for years, who are you and what do you want? So it's got that flip side. But definitely when we think about the rate of loneliness in the workplace in the UAE, it's 28%. So that's according to Gallup data. And in the Gulf, it's pretty high. It's increasing. It's not as bad as maybe other parts of the world, but it is an issue.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the importance of being seen, being heard, being noticed, being understood, and how important that is for emotional health?
Yeah, absolutely. And so coming back to that example, being in the mall, right? So you're walking in the mall, we're doing our best to ignore people. And what tends to happen is that over time that loneliness creeps in because we're not being seen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's out of politeness, sometimes it's out of that lack of relationships. And when you don't feel seen, loneliness creeps in, but also you start to lose touch with reality. You know? So feeling seen, what relationships do is they help us validate our existence.
Yeah.
So it's really important for people not to discount these little tiny social touch points when you're at Carrefour, just saying, hi.
Yeah. Now, some of
Awkward.
our
Say it
viewers at
anyway.
home might actually be part of that 28% that feel really lonely. Actually, a friend of mine texted me last night and she said, I just feel so lonely, and my heart was breaking for her. What advice would you give people that are maybe here and they've left their families?
Go hang out with your friend.
Exactly. So I know the temptation is to say, go out and mingle. But if you're feeling lonely, that can actually make you feel worse, because now it's very apparent. So loneliness is not so much not having anybody, it's not having meaningful connection. So just to throw yourself in a public, you know, in a club or something, that is not necessarily going to do it. But it is to take the risk and to try to deepen relationships and connections. So by saying, where are you from? What did you do this weekend? And disclosing little by little, and that gets reciprocal disclosures from others, and that's how we start to build emotional intimacy. And that's how we start to feel seen and heard and mattered. And that's what reduces loneliness and boosts our happiness as well.
Now, Doctor, I just want to quickly go back to a month ago when we had the 30 by 30, right?
Yeah.
You were talking, everybody was talking about physical fitness, but you were also pushing mental fitness. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and then connect it to that study of yours about 9,000 people here in the UAE?
Yeah, absolutely. So mental fitness is something we kind of forget because we tend to focus on the body, and then we forget that the part of the head is another organ, and also it is attached. And so what I started, and this was last month, is thinking about the 30-30 happiness challenge and things that we could do to boost our levels of happiness, but really our positive emotional experiences, our social relationships, our meaning in life, and all of these strategies and skills that go along with that. But mental fitness is something we need to pay more attention to in two different ways. So if we think about the brain as an organ, thinking about it in terms of brain health. So taking care of our brain, sleeping well, eating well, paying attention, you know, working out, all of this is helpful to us not to enter a state of cognitive decline, dementia, right? Things that come a little bit later. So some of that is preventative. But also thinking about how we think, how we interact, how we perceive the world, how we respond to events. This really determines how productive we are in life, how successful we are in life, not just at work, but in parenting and relationships, and really that's quality of life right there. So what I did last month is, you know, I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless advertising here, but I introduced the 30-30 Happiness Challenge, and this is really all of the different skills and strategies that have been validated in science and positive psychology that people can use to boost their levels of happiness. So the whole point was to get people introduced to these interventions, but also to give them permission. Prioritize your happiness. It really has a huge impact in our life outcomes and overall quality of life. And our health outcomes, which ties into the question you just had around the study that we did. So I still continue to do research. We are going to be publishing very shortly one of the studies we did here in the UAE on over 9,000 UAE residents. And what we wanted to look at is what is the direction of influence between happiness and health outcomes, and which way the influence actually went. And so what we found is that healthier people, yes, are happier. So this is a common finding that we find in the science. But we also found evidence for the opposite. Happier people had better health outcomes.
Wow.
And this also confirms a lot of the research we have coming out in these just lately, looking at happier people live longer. So women at the age of 50 who are more optimistic outlive less optimistic women by 6 years. In men, it's 11 years. It's significant. Greater immune functioning, greater cardiovascular strength, but also indirectly, happier people are more likely to go to the gym. Happier people are more likely to not smoke. They are more likely to sleep better, et cetera, et cetera. So happiness is not just something that makes you feel good, although that really matters. but it also plays into other health outcomes and life outcomes that are really important to us.
Big
Well, it's going to
smiles.
be
Big
living a
smiles.
long
Big
time.
smiles, everybody. Big smiles.
Well, we are all definitely a lot happier for just having you here in the
Thank you.
studio. And we are a lot more conscious about our happiness and where we are. So thank you very much for
My pleasure.
joining us and educating us. And I think, Louis, it's time for DXB in 60.
Ah, yes, we do have a little something for Rashi right now. Are you ready?
Oh, wow.
Oh, she's surprised. Okay, we want to know more about you in 60 seconds. It's our DXB in 60. I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions.
Go for it.
Your 60 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1. Best advice you have ever heard that you still carry with you today?
Live in the now.
An activity or a place in Dubai that is still on your bucket list?
On my bucket list, maybe a paddle session.
Ah, nice. If you hadn't become a nutritionist, what do you think you would be doing instead?
I'd definitely be a baker.
If you could have an AI assistant, what tasks would you want it to handle?
Oh, wow. I would want it to replicate my brain and just do
more.
Just have a
just
spare.
do more.
Just have a backup.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, my grandmother.
Oh, nice one. Your go-to restaurant in Dubai?
There are so many, but I'm going to name a cafe. It's called Seva. It's in Jumeirah.
Yes.
And if you are watching this and you haven't been there, you have to go. It's beautiful.
Best way to unwind after a long day?
Just be home, play with my pet, enjoy that time.
We're out of time, but we do have one more question. Why Dubai?
Because Dubai is the future. It really is. Like all of us who've come from, different countries, we really feel at home here, right? It feels like home. So
Beautiful.
Well, loved your answers. Loved having you on. Rashi, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
being our
much for
guest
having
co-host for today. And Dr. Louise.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you. We hope
Pleasure.
to see you soon. We're all going to be smiling a lot wider after today's episode. And you're going to be smiling wider as well because we do have music on the way. And our next artist is incredible. She has performed as part of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations for Prince Charles, or King Charles now, and the Duchess of Cornwall. Jennifer Tierney is going to be performing for you next. You don't want to miss it.